Mrs. Lim Hui Hua, Minister of Prime Minister's Office and Second Minister for Finance and Transport, Dr. Ernest Khan, President, Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Singapore, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Let me begin by sharing with you a couple of statistics and observations. Now, Asia's GDP for the year is projected at 8%. I think Ernest Khan has talked about the tremendous opportunities in Asia. China with a forecast of 10% expansion in its GDP, and India with 8.75%, I think will be the main drivers for growth in rising Asia for the next 5 to 10 years. Now, Singapore is home to more than 7,000 MNCs, now of which 4,200 have regional or global headquarters functions in Singapore. Now, our 3 public universities produce about 1,000 accountancy graduates each year. Now, on average, 60% of them join the Big 4 accounting entities, and the remaining 40% also join the financial institutions and other corporations. The average attrition rate in the bigger public accounting entities is 30%. It's a high rate of attrition from the profession. So the question is, do we and can we produce enough accountants to meet the needs of businesses operating in Singapore and the region? Second, now Singapore has about 590 public accounting entities. Now 90% of these entities have only 5 or less partners. The bigger accounting entities have started to consolidate their resources to meet the growing business needs of the Asian economies. And with globalization, businesses are getting more complex and challenging. Question: are Singapore public accounting entities able to respond to the growing complexity of business needs? Now, the tertiary accountancy education offered by public universities provides a broad-based foundation. They provide good accountancy graduates. Now, Minister has mentioned about our Singapore qualification program, and what we intend to do is to have a post-university professional accountancy qualification. My committee, CIDAS, had deliberated extensively on the issue, the question of whether Singapore should indeed develop our own Singapore-branded professional accountancy qualification that is globally recognized and portable. And my final observation to share with you, now the annual local research fund devoted to the area of accountancy ranges from 100,000 to 300,000 per local university. To put this in perspective, the R&D expenditure in Singapore amounted to Singapore dollars 7 billion, with 5 billion derived from private sector R&D expenditure, and the 2 billion remaining coming from the public sector in 2009. So the question is, how do we promote more research in accountancy and related areas and make Singapore a regional hub for research and thought leadership? Now, with these questions in mind, it will be useful to begin with just a brief review of some of the developments in the recent past. You heard about the global financial crisis that brought down institutions like Lehman. What we'll probably recall will be the billions pumped in by the governments across the world to restore order and stability. Now, as we emerge from the wider financial crisis, there are implications that the regulators, the business, and financial communities, including the accountancy profession, have to deal with. For the auditors, their pressures are rising from a higher level of stakeholder expectations and the perceived increase in the expectation-performance gap. What follows is also a call for the audit profession to play a bigger role as gatekeepers to maintain financial stability. You heard about the tremendous growth in Asia, in rising Asia. And with China and India being the drivers of growth in Asia, the strength of the domestic demand in India, in China, is expected to have positive spillover effects for other Asian economies. And in Singapore, our Ministry of Trade has maintained the GDP growth forecast of 13 to 15% for 2010. So what do all this mean for the accountancy profession? Now, according to the Data Monitor Industry Profile Research, the Asia-Pacific accountancy market had total revenue of almost $30.8 billion in US dollars in 2008. Now, that represents a compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 6.7% for the period spanning 2004 to 2008. The performance of the market is forecast to accelerate, with an anticipated CAGR of 6.4% for the 5-year period from 2009 to 2014. Now, I would say these trends and projections look bright. Now, they represent opportunities for the buyers and sellers of accountancy services are likely to benefit from the growth in Asian Pacific markets.